your style will take a little time to rehumanize, being a friend to yourself so you can befriend someone else. All our truths, all our wonders, all here now. Breathing in, breathing out, be here now. Breathing in, breathing out, be here now. Be here Some are thrilled, some are tired. Come with longing and desire. Come with hope and inner fire. All here now. No stars need to align. Don't even need to feel satisfied. Simply see what's real for a little while. Breathing in, breathing out, be here now. 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 Be here now. Ooh. Known as you are, loved as you are, be as you are, be here now. Known as you are, loved as you are, be as you are, be here now. Known as you are, loved as you are, be as you are, be here now. Breathing in, breathing out, be here now. Breathing in, breathing out, be here now. Be here now. Ooh. Welcome yourself, your whole self here, being breathed, being healed, giving time nor mind for a little while. No certain way you need to be. Friend, I hope your heart is free. But if hearts are light or heavy, we're all here now. Breathing in, breathing out, be 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 here now. Be here now. Be here, be now, be. Be here, be now, be. Feel free to take a big, deep breath as we arrive here, friends. My name is Heatherlyn. Pronouns are she, they. Welcome to this LOVEcast that we call Storydwelling. This is my Storydwelling show, my Storydwelling love stream. And tonight we have a really special guest who's named Matthew Stapley, and we will have him on the screen in just a couple of minutes. Actually, even sharing with you all why we began the show with that song. We selected that together. So first I'll say hello to a few friends. I see some faces here. Jason's here as well in the room with me. So good evening, Nicole and Monique and Carl here and now. Thank you for being here. Liam and Milu, thank you for your kind words as well. Thank you all so much for being here. Please feel free to share this if you'd like to include some others, invite some others to join in this time together. It is always a good time whenever I have a guest on here to share their story with us. So, Storydwelling is obviously the name of this particular show, this program I created for live streaming. It also is the name of an album that we produced back in 2011, so you can find my Storydwelling album wherever you listen to your music. However, the reason I named both of those things Storydwelling is because this is actually for me a really deep, personal, ongoing practice of life. This is a lens through which I see the world, and it has been so beneficial and transformative to me that I desire to share it with others to see if it's beneficial to you as well. And it is completely an open invitation to just check it out and try it out. So to me, Storydwelling is this. It is cultivating courageous, compassionate curiosity for ourselves and one another, recognizing the shaping nature of narrative. This is a practice of deeply listening. It's an exercise in empathy for others and ourselves, and it's also an exercise in critically thinking about the meta-narratives that shape our lives. So meta-narratives being the big overarching stories that we find ourselves in, be they religious or political, the family story that you grew up in that is actually in your DNA, not only what you heard and the storylines you were given to, but those stories actually dwell in you as well. And so when we think about Storydwelling, we can also think about the things that occupy space right here and in our nervous systems. And these storylines really influence our lives, how we go about them, what we believe about ourselves. And then these storylines, they interface with the storylines of other people we encounter, and in so many different kinds of ways. And that's why there are sometimes these conflicts where political and religious paradigms will collide or clash. And so I think part of Storydwelling for me is providing us with a practice that can eventually be a tool so we can sit with another whose paradigm might clash with ours, and we can be curious and we can be compassionate and we can wonder about how their stories have come to be and how those stories have shaped their perspective, their thinking, their being in the world. That would be helpful, wouldn't it, to have a practice like that? So there's one aspect of this that I also call somatic storydwelling. So these stories do dwell in our bodies, and our nervous systems can get activated in various ways, but we can also feel other chemical reactions that happen. And so there's many things that could happen, but two that come forward for me when we are deeply listening and seeking to really encounter a person with openness and grace. We could experience at any time resonance or resistance. So that nice warmth, that beautiful little buzz of life that you feel when there's a resonance. It's almost like someone has a soul song that's singing back to you, your own, and they're in harmony, and that is a fun feeling. There also could be resistance, and there could be so many different things that could create resistance in our bodies, and it could be because of something we believe. It could be because of a trauma that is resurfaced or activated in our nervous systems. And so I want us to, as we consider consider this practice, and obviously bringing it into this next hour very deliberately and intentionally, communally together, but also taking it into our lives, I want us to think about this idea of somatic story dwelling. So practicing presence with awareness to our bodies, so presence to our bodies as well, and how they respond to another. So one beautiful way to very simply drop into our bodies is to notice our breath. And so if you aren't already kind of aware of your breath, I know we Be Here Now sort of naturally invited us to take a deep breath. And maybe just notice where you're at this moment. So taking a deep breath, breathing in through your feet and drawing it all the way up to your heart space, up to the top of your head, and then exhaling all the way down and out and kind of grounding down, breathing your exhale into the earth. And then a couple more times like that, where you are simply finding yourself here with an open heart, an open mind, ready to listen, to practice empathy, and not only for me and our guest, but others in the chat and your own being, your own heart, mind, and body, honoring and respecting yourself as well. So thank you so much for coming along this journey with me. Thank you for listening to the music, being present and appreciating our guest tonight. And thank you for trying this out with me, trying something new and being brave, maybe even to try it. Matthew Stapley is a really great human. We have actually never met in person, which feels so strange, but he's actually maybe going to share with you a little bit more about how we connected. But he is a gay, clairvoyant, neurodivergent human who grew up in a small town. And I love this part of his story on his website because it's like 10 guesses on how that went. So I'm really excited to ask Matthew what it's like to be him and what it is like to live his life and do this life's work that he's called to do. So with your clapping emojis, with your heart emojis, would you please welcome with warmth and enthusiasm our dear friend, Matthew Stapley. Yeah. It's good to see you, my friend. How are you feeling right now? Are you here now?
I am here now. Thank you very much. I'm doing well, and I'm really excited to be here with you and everybody who's hanging out with us tonight. I've been looking very forward to it.
Yeah, me too. And you had me on one of your live streams on your Facebook page a little bit ago when we released my single Interfere, and so I appreciated that so much. So thank you for the shared hospitality of having us, and all that. So appreciate that so much. Would you like to tell folks about how you found me, and then and now we're like buds and
Sure. Yeah, I
yeah,
would love to. It was actually very much by accident. Like you can look at like live video streams or whatever on Facebook. That's
yeah.
what I was doing, and I was just scrolling, and I came across you singing, and I
Mm.
was like, I I think this is maybe one of the most beautiful human beings I've ever seen in my life. And your
Oh,
voice was
Matthew.
so strong. But then you were also standing in a church, and I was like, she would either really like me or really hate me. I'm not sure which one it is because I didn't know at first glance that it was a very open-minded
Oh, can you turn the
and
volume back up,
loving,
Jason,
welcoming
please?
space. And so, um,
Sorry, I just lost you there for one moment,
um,
but you're back. You're good. Yeah.
okay, good.
So the church
Yeah, so
thing, the church context, understandably made you wonder if we would vibe
yeah,
or not. Yeah. Yeah. And why is that? Do you want to?
exactly. And then I ended up looking. Well, sure. I think that being gay and
Mm,
maybe very interfaith minded or very, I don't know,
hmm.
ecumenical,
Yeah.
I think those of us who are drawn to things outside of just strictly one religious path, I think we often have
Hmm.
experienced judgment, or we've
Yeah.
experienced um misunderstanding or stigma or whatever. And so I
Right.
think it was a kind of a combination of all of those things. And
Mm-hmm.
so yeah, I just wasn't sure. But then when I listened to the rest of the service, I was like, okay, actually, no, these are cool
Yeah.
people.
Oh, yeah,
So,
yeah, yeah. Yeah, like
but
like almost everyone in leadership is queer in some way or so on some level. So, yeah.
exactly. I think
Yeah.
the other thing that for whatever reason has always created either like fear or judgment is,
Mm.
being a medium. And I think,
Yeah.
yeah, I've had my fair share of churches not enjoying
Mm. Sure. Yeah, yeah,
facts
yeah.
about me. So it's almost like if it's not one thing, it's another, right? But
Yeah.
yeah, but then I found that it was the opposite of all of the fears that bubbled up. So
Yeah.
I think that was
Yeah.
positive.
Well, and I understand there's kind of actually, so I grew up in a very conservative Christian church. And so there's always conversation about the paranormal. They never use the word paranormal, but there's always conversation about the paranormal and the meta levels of things. And yet yes, but I'm aware of the stigma around it can only be spoken about in this way, or it can only be but for those watching who might not really know what a medium is, would you like to share what that means to you and what that looks like in your,
Sure.
yeah, I mean, and we'll get to the backstory too of what led you there, but yeah.
Yeah, so a medium is basically like in its most basic definition is just somebody who can like speak to passed on people or other dimensions or whatever. And
Mm,
I think it's actually incredibly common. It's just that not everybody
mm,
is necessarily aware of it. But I was born with it, and I started having really intense experiences at a very young age. And as time went on, it just kind of unfolded, as a life path, but also as a career path, which I
yeah,
feel like I enjoyed, but in some elements was like dragged into by the universe. So,
yeah, yeah.
it's
It sounds that
definitely
way to
been a
me.
journey.
Yeah. Yeah. Would you tell us about the time when you were 8 years old talking with your dad and there was this realization about this gift you have?
Sure. Yeah, sure. So, yeah, so he was traveling in Thailand, and I was at home here in Canada, and in the small town that I grew up in, the the interesting town. And he called to say hi to us, and I got on the phone with him, and I remember like waiting to talk to him, and this feeling of anxiety building, like I had to talk to my dad. And I remember
Mm,
grabbing the phone and saying, "Dad, what are those big teeth sitting beside you on the table?" And he said, "Well, they're elephant tusks, but how did you know they were there?"
mm,
And so I said, "I don't know, I could just see them." And then he started asking like about, what else can you see? And so I started describing the room he was sitting in, and it freaked him right out. I mean, it was like really, yeah,
yeah.
scary for him, I think, at the time.
And like
And
this
then it
wasn't
just
a
things like
video
that.
call. You were on the phone. Like there was no visual, but you saw all of this.
Yeah, this would have been like the mid-90s when this happened. So, yeah, no, I
Wow.
just saw it all in my head.
Mm-hmm.
And then as time went on, like more and more and more of those experiences started happening. And then
Wow.
eventually, I started really telling people what I was hearing when I would talk to them or what I would see. And
Mm,
then it wasn't very long after that people started asking me to see things on purpose and to, tell them what I would
mm.
see. Not long after that, people were offering me money to do it. So, and
Yeah,
traveling
yeah.
from all over Eastern Ontario, to
Wow.
get those readings, and then it just kind
Mm-hmm.
of kept building and growing from there.
Wow. Wow. How did your parents, I mean, initially your father was freaked out about the fact you could see this room he was in, but how did your parents respond, or were they able, did they have the capacity to recognize and nurture this gift in you at such a young age that it came forward?
Yeah, so that's a good
Yeah.
question. So my
Yeah.
mom, absolutely. So like she was like French Canadian and Ukrainian background. So this
Oh,
is like
wow.
they would go to church on Sunday and psychic
Mm-hmm.
Sunday night. Like it was very and
Oh,
and
yeah.
gifts and abilities. talents like that run in my mom's side of the family pretty heavily.
Okay.
So
Cool.
she was like all over it and excited about it. And also, apparently, it was predicted by somebody she went to have a reading with before me and my brother were born.
Whoa.
And it was predicted so that that would happen. My
Okay.
dad, he didn't really, I don't think, weigh into it too much. Apparently,
Mhm.
when he asked me to put my mom back on the phone, he was like, "Something is up with our kid. Go find a psychiatrist." He's like, "I can't explain any of this,
Oh,
but
oh.
like maybe somebody who
Yeah.
knows the mind could."
Yeah.
Even though like what I saw was accurate, I think he just didn't know what else to do. But
Yeah.
later on, after my mom passed away, I asked my dad like to fund a show, right? So I would get up on
Mhm.
stage and I would do a talk and messages from the other side for people. And he said, of course. And
Wow.
so he might pay him back. And he did. And yeah, he was there. And that was the first time he really saw me work, right? Like in a professional capacity.
Hmm.
And yeah, he realized, I think, in that moment, what it really was all about and how much healing could happen for people. And after
Hmm.
that, he became like the number one, supporter of all of this.
Wow.
And I think that was a really, really cool thing.
Yeah. It's so cool. Okay, so I feel like this is so story dwelling because because I feel like there are some people who haven't really encountered a lot of this kind of conversation, right? Or the
Yeah.
acknowledgement that these experiences are very real, right? And I think some don't even have a paradigm or a framework for it, right? Like there's no real story that they come to with this necessarily, right? So what
Yeah.
does all of this mean? Like from the other side or people who've gone before us, like is this ancestral work? How does the healing happen? What immediately comes to mind is like resolve or reconciliation even after someone is gone, or yeah. And how did you ever, I'm sorry, I should only ask one question at a time, and that was already a few. So
No, it's all good. Um, it- you cut out, like, I think, at the most important part of the question because I kind of missed it. So, um,
yeah, what does all of this mean in terms of like messages from the other side? Like who is on the other side sending the
okay,
messages? Some of those like
yeah.
kind of nuts and bolts of what this is, you know?
Sure, yeah, I think that's a great
Mm-hmm.
question. So, I really think that I guess we'll start off with some, I don't know, spiritualist philosophy, but
Okay,
I
great.
think that, um, the human spirit, I think, survives that transition of death. I think
Mm.
that love is the most powerful thing
Oh, me
in the
too.
world, and it's so powerful that
Yes.
it transcends death and life. And I think
Mm.
it's that exact quality of our universe that allows for mediumship to happen. So I personally
Ah.
think that when people pass away, they're instantly at peace and they instantly have an understanding of life on earth, and
Mm.
they are instantly around all of their loved ones, whether the loved ones are still on earth or they're also in heaven.
Mm.
And I think that profound love and that profound connection that continues after life, I think, creates the ability for them to send us signs or messages or whatever. And I think that they do that all the time directly. I don't think you need a
Mm.
medium to communicate with your loved ones that have passed, but a medium
Mm-hmm.
can be helpful if you're, looking for specific communications or answers or whatever. So I think that's really what it's all about, is bringing peace, bringing understanding.
Mm.
One thing that I have noticed in my 20 plus years of doing this as my career path is that
Yeah.
grief is incredibly complicated and it's very complex,
Mm.
and
Mm-hmm.
it's such a process. And so some people can go through that process totally on their own and they can find the answers to the questions that their deepest parts of their heart are asking.
Mm.
And some people need help with that part. And So I think mediumship in that capacity is good because it helps in the process of grief for some people, not for everybody, but for some people.
Yeah.
And so it's an honor for me to get to walk with people through parts of that and be a part of their process,
Yeah.
which is always heart filling, fulfilling.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah. I mean, I love your bio on your website. You close with all that I want to do with my life is inspire people, help them to heal, and make them laugh. And I think that's really
Sure. So,
beautiful. And I
well,
feel
thank
like,
you.
yeah, I mean, the other thing that I just love about you, Matthew, is how you show up on your Facebook page, which we want people to connect to Matthew's Facebook page. And that's just / Canadian Psychic, or hopefully you can connect to it just from this live stream or something. But you seem to build community on your Facebook page, and people will talk about how this is a virtual world and it isn't real connections. But I feel you being a channel of love and kindness and encouragement and reflection and wisdom and grace through your posts, and then how you engage people in conversation as they respond to you. Like, it's just lovely, my friend. It's
Oh, well, thank you. It's very, very special to me. I think some people look at social media, like you said, as not necessarily real, but for me, like these are the people that I think about, like first thing in the morning and last thing at night. I mean, they are a huge piece of my heart,
yeah,
and so I feel like it's as real as it can get. For me.
yeah, yeah. I feel that as well. I think I'll go ahead and share interfere because you mentioned this. We share this belief that love is the most powerful force in the universe, and it is healing and transformative and can create new things and redeem. And this is basically my anthem. It's like my, love exists in all of these incredible ways. And I love that you're introducing us to another idea of how love is active in the world and how love is connecting us, even when we might not fully realize it. I love that gift that you're giving to us right now. So how about we talk more about what it is to be you after this song, and all y'all keep saying hello, and thank you for engaging in the chat, everybody, and for being here and sharing this, and obviously thank you, Matthew, for being here. This is my song, Interfere. clear. I gotta let go, release my resistance. The channels of my heart are clear. Always got something to prove, somewhere to be. Here there's no ladder climbing, no lofty tears. The place where earth and heaven meet. All your restraints burst at the seams. The way you let love interfere. Come closer, come near. As the rains raise the streams to wash away the wears, let love take it from here. Ooh, 'cause love is love is love is love is love. So let it be. Yeah, love is love is love is love is love. So let it be. Oh, love is love is love is love is love. So let it be. Hey, love is love is love is love is love. So let it be. Let it be. Yo, we just had the album release show for the album that song is on, and we had like minutes of people just going, love is love is love is love is love. So let it be. It was so great. It was such a great celebration. So thank you so much for your kind comments, Lisa, Chris, Carl, Matthew, Deborah. Good to see you all, Monique. Please forgive me if I'm not catching everyone's names, but so grateful to see you. Thank you for your engagement, and thank you for being here for our show and to engage in this practice of cultivating courageous, compassionate curiosity for ourselves and one another, recognizing the shaping nature of narrative and story dwelling with me and my guest, Matthew Stapley. So welcome him back. And Matthew, I have heard that you are very lucky in love, my friend.
I am. I'm super lucky in love. Like, I have the most amazing partners anybody could ever imagine.
Oh, that's
Ever.
so
I
great.
feel greedy, maybe slightly guilty about it, in fact.
Well, it is so beautiful to see your relationship with both of your partners. And that also is kind of a new framework or narrative around love and devotion that I think is new for some folks. How is that for you? How does that work for you guys? Like, it's so beautiful.
Yeah. You know, it wasn't expected, if I'm being totally honest. Like,
Yeah.
when me and my first partner met,
Mm-hmm.
we were all like, oh yes, we're like so monogamous, and we don't want any of anything other than that. And then a few years went by, and we were like, well, like, we're really happy together, and nothing felt like it was missing between us, but we always
Yeah.
felt like there was this dimension that hadn't been opened yet or something. And that was my
Wow.
partner, Etienne. And then
Hmm.
Trent came along, and Trent was supposed to be a friend. He turned out to be a terrible friend. In fact,
Oh.
probably the terrible friend, but an amazing partner. And so we all kind of ended up just falling for each other. And then, I think at one point we were like, well, you know what? Let's just be a throuple. Let's just do this and see how it
Wow.
goes. And the one thing I will say is it's twice the work and 10 times the rewards, I think would probably be the most
Mm.
accurate way I can describe
Mm.
it. Um,
Hmm.
yeah,
Yeah.
definitely conventional relationship, but an awesome one, an amazing one I wouldn't
Yeah.
trade for anything.
I love that exponential equation, like twice the work, but 10 times the reward. Yeah. beautiful. And
very
I can
much so.
imagine, like, because I can imagine some people being like, yeah, one partner is enough work. You know, that's I think a common response to this sort of scenario.
Yeah.
How do you, I
Oh,
mean,
it
what, let's just go to relational skills, right? Like communication. Like, what would be the one thing that is maybe primary to all staying healthy together?
I think it's one thing that we figured out very early on. Like, I mean, the first couple of weeks of all of us, crossing that line out of friendship together, was that do not hold on to anything. If you're not
Mm,
feeling something, or something's irked you, or you're feeling a little jealous or whatever, like, don't
mm,
hold on to it. Don't save it for later. Say it immediately. And it
mm,
took a little bit of practice, I think, in the very beginning for all of us to kind of be okay with that directness. But
yeah.
man, is it ever like, it's refreshing. And I think what's beautiful about that is I don't think there's anything that we don't really talk about with each other.
Yeah.
So that openness and that transparency, I think, is
Mm,
vital to make any relationship work, whether it's with one
yeah.
yourself, or another person, or many other people.
Yeah.
And I think, yeah, that's the biggest thing, I think, was that honesty. There's a fear in relationships, and I think we see this in our relationships with ourselves, our relationships with other people, with God, the universe, is that
Mm,
vulnerability can be uncomfortable. It's
mm,
uncomfortable sometimes to be seen just as we are. And
mm-hmm,
I think allowing for that to unfold within a relationship, like I said, whether
mm,
it's with yourself, the universe, God, or other people, is vital to the
yeah.
success
Yeah. Yeah. So
of that
true.
relationship. And I think, yeah.
Yeah, there was a little bit of a like lull and then it like sped ahead. So I might have missed the last thing you said, but I'm really here for it. I'm loving this. Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's just, yeah, it's just important to allow our walls to come down, and
Mm,
to be open to the idea of vulnerability within a relationship. Because I think
yeah.
one thing that I've learned in all of this is that, um, we can have people can have a relationship with us, or who we show ourselves to be. And the
Mm-hmm.
most true relationships are the relationship with who we actually are. In order for that to actually really be
Mm,
there, we have to let our walls down, and be
yeah.
seen as we are, and be okay with that.
Yeah, for sure. Uh, I love what you're saying because it calls us to, yeah, have that relationship with ourselves so we know ourselves well enough to share ourselves with others. And then to do that
Exactly.
authentically. I mean, so like I'm someone who's been like consciously working on my traumas and stuff for like ages, right? And so I can pretty well differentiate if my response to a current situation or event is actually about the current situation or if it's about a previous trauma that's getting reactivated. But
Yeah.
then I've found that it's even harder to be vulnerable then because you definitely can't put, you, I mean, you really have to own your part in how you're reacting to it, right? And there's a
You
vulnerability in being like, what you just said or did activated this old wound. And I know this isn't completely about you, but like, can we sort it together? Like, will you help me out here, really?
totally. And
Yeah.
that's something that 3 of us do
Mm,
constantly. I mean, I think this day and age, I think everyone has at least, like, if they don't have big T, big trauma, then they have little trauma, like little t. And that
yeah. Yep.
doesn't mean like in a belittling their hardships way. It's like little trauma is the day to day scrapes and scars, and things like that. And then the big T, the big trauma is,
Yeah.
horrific events of some kind.
Yeah.
I think
Mm,
all of us on earth at this point have one or both of those things. And
yeah.
of course those things end up in our relationships and connections. And I think what you said is beautiful, being able to be vulnerable, and
Mm,
see it for what it is,
hmm.
and still work with it and work through it. I mean, that's what it's all about.
Yeah. Yeah. Gosh. I think. you seem to me very grounded. So I know that some people might think of mediumship as very woo woo and very like, I don't know. People probably think lots of things. And
They
you,
do.
yeah, yeah. And you seem very grounded in psychology, and I just feel like you've had some training that does ground this in like a deeper understanding that's beyond something that you only believe because it's so real for you. Am I making sense?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, totally.
Mm-hmm.
I do. I mean, I have I went to school for a whole a whole whack of things, but
Yeah.
I think part of it is definitely like things that I learned educationally, and part of it is
Mm,
I'm a very observant person, and I'm naturally a curious person, and I am naturally a person who likes the ideas of resolution, like resolving things.
mm,
And when I really think about being human, I think, well, we kind of function on resolution in a sense. If you think about it, like even at a very biochemical level, like we're resolving and balancing
mm.
very physical
Oh
variables at a
yeah.
micro level within our body.
Yeah.
Um, and that goes right up into our connections with other people, or even the way that we learn. I mean,
Mm,
we're taking in knowledge in order to balance our lack of knowledge. So, I think that natural curiosity is kind of grounding in itself, and I think it has
mm,
allowed me the blessing of being able to see the subtleties within the way that we all relate to the world around us. And I think
mm.
that, and the quest for what the heck are we all doing here? Like, what's the point?
Yeah.
Especially
Yeah.
on the good days, it's what's the meaning of life. On the bad days, it's what's the point? But I think
Mm-hmm.
asking those big questions has
Yeah.
helped me to bring some of these things into focus for sure.
Yeah, that's beautiful. I love that. I was thinking about, as you mentioned, the cellular level of balance and resolution. Embodiment is a significant part of your story and your journey, and fitness and health and well-being. That is so much more multidimensional than simply you being concerned with your appearance or something, right?
Yeah.
Like it
Yeah.
seems so multifaceted and deep and holistic for you. So, how has that impacted your perspective and journey and even your mediumship, if it has?
Yeah, that's a really good question. So, I guess for the first most of my life, I didn't really care about my
Mm-hmm.
physical body. In fact, I was of the mind that it's like, the body is just the vehicle of the soul. And
Mm-hmm.
then I got sick. I got sick with
Mm-hmm.
diabetes. I got sick with a blood disorder. I got sick with a whole bunch of things. And at my biggest, I was over 400 pounds. And I think, like, one thing that I realized in the journey of trying to work on myself physically at a health level, and a fitness level, is that our body isn't just a vehicle of our soul; it's an expression of our soul. And I really
Mm-hmm.
I think that our body is an expression of our soul. And I think that if I was, going to take care of my mental health and my emotional health and my spiritual health, then I had to take care of my physical health. Otherwise, there was a huge component missing.
Mm-hmm.
And has it influenced my mediumship ability and things like that? I think it always will. I think, fitness is can be very grounding.
Mm-hmm.
But I also think that anytime we're taking care of any or all parts of ourselves, that will always elevate who we are in
Mm-hmm.
every other way. And so, yeah,
Yeah.
I think in a roundabout way, it's definitely influenced it, and
Yeah.
in very positive ways for sure.
Mm. Yeah, my sense is that people really relate to your story on some level and appreciate the vulnerability that you set an example of, right? When you're sharing your story and your journey, and just cheers to you for recognizing the need for a shift, and that you could do this. You could make that change in your life and reclaim your health. Like, congratulations. That's
Well, thank you. I appreciate that. And, I think authenticity and vulnerability, they didn't come naturally to me, if I'm being totally honest. I spent
Yeah.
the first big chunk of my life and the big chunk of my career thinking that I had to appear like I had it all together. And then life happened, and I couldn't even pretend to have it all together.
Mm-hmm.
And it was the scariest gift that was ever given to me was
Wow.
like, hey, Matthew, you're not going to be able to fake it. You're going to have to show people the mess that you are. And
Yeah.
then something shifted in me with that. And, I realized, well, a mess isn't bad. A mess, it
Mm-hmm.
can be beautiful. It can be in progress. It can be a
Yeah.
construction zone. And,
Totally.
and when I finally showed people that and let people in to see that,
Mm-hmm.
um, something miraculous happened. And this thought came over me that was that I will take everything that happens to me, the good, the bad, the ugly, the unspeakable, even
Hmm.
good and bad, unspeakable, and I'll use it, and I'll use it to help people.
Hmm.
And when I started doing that, then I noticed other people let their walls down and opened up and
Yes.
felt safe to be authentic. And I realized that no one person on this planet has their ducks in a row. Not really. I think we can have it in a row for them in a row for moments or within
Right.
areas of our life. But the truth
Yeah.
is, we're all a mess in some
Yeah.
way. Yeah.
I completely agree. I mean, I'll just speak for myself. I am. I have my ducks in a row. Sometimes I can't find my ducks. They're like hiding behind the pillows, like
Totally.
where did
Covered
they
in
go?
glitter
How many did I
or
have?
stuff in the corner.
Yeah. Oh, thank
Are
you.
they even
What's that? What was that
Are
last
they
thing?
even ducks?
Are they even ducks? Yeah, that's that meme where someone's like, I think one's a pigeon, actually. Uh, sorry, when I laugh, I feel like it cuts you out a little bit. So,
No, it's all good. Laughter, it's what it's all about. It raises our vibe
yeah,
always.
for
Always.
sure. And that is one of your great desires in life is to make people laugh. So you did it tonight.
It is.
Um,
I love people laugh.
yeah. Well, I think I'm going to do a song before our final segment. We can come back and talk about, the things that you offer, the invitations you'd like to extend to people for your events coming up and being part of your community on your Facebook page and all of that. I think I'm going to do my song Welcome to the Masquerade because we've been talking about vulnerability, taking those walls down or taking those masks off. Letting our true selves be known and seen, and this being an act of love all the way around, and it also is almost Halloween, and this is kind of a haunting song, so I think it makes sense. We're gonna do this one, okay? Yeah.
Super stoked.
Okay. Cool. Painted lips of glossy red. Never mind the things she said. Glittering eyes sparkle in the night. Gives us all enchanted sight. Welcome to the masquerade. All of life is a fanciful stage. Hide behind your painted porcelain face. Welcome, welcome to the masquerade. Feathers colored silver and gold, eyes wide shut, the phantom of the show. Masks as glammed as money can afford, so he and she and you won't get bored. Welcome to the masquerade. the dance, hypnotized a vicarious romance. You can be anyone, a pirate or a prude. You can be anyone, anyone but you. Welcome to the masquerade. All of life is a fanciful stage. Hide behind your painted porcelain face. Welcome, welcome, welcome to the masquerade. That's my song. Welcome to the Masquerade. I believe it's available on my Bandcamp through my website, heatherlynmusic.com/music, if you want to find it on the Live in Hollywood recording, I think. I think it's recorded live, solo acoustic somewhere. So not released on all the platforms, but you can find my music wherever you would like to listen to your music. And I would love for you to do that. Thank you for your support in that way. And also, while I'm speaking of support, thank you to our Patreon community who make these LOVEcasts possible, who make these programs, these shows, these practices that I am inviting people into, and sharing my music and the channel of love that I hope it is. Patrons make that possible. Truly, we would not be able to endure or have the safety net that we have without you. So if any of you feel moved and called to be a part of this work, our life's work in this world, my life partner Jason and me, we are creating this together. If you'd like to be part of that, please consider joining patreon.com/HeatherlynMusic. And I'm so grateful. We have more invitations for you from our guest tonight, Matthew Stapley, here with me to share his story and his work. And I think we've only just scratched the surface of your story, my friend. I'm so happy you're here. It's delightful to talk to you about literally anything. And I know that you...
Well, likewise, this has been awesome. I've loved.
Thank you. I'm so glad you're here. And I'm grateful to you for just how you reflect back to me the impact that my music can have. It means just so much to me.
It really does have a huge impact. I mean, I just think your music, your lyrics, your voice, it just, I don't know, it just makes things make sense. As weird as that might sound, it just makes.
I love that. Thank you so much. I'll have to hire you to do a reading for me sometime.
Oh, you don't have to hire me. I'll just do it for you. It would be an honor, truly.
That would be amazing. Okay, we will line it up. But if people want to hire you for that or engage in your other offerings, please share with us all that you'd like to.
Sure, yeah. So I don't offer one-on-one sessions anymore. I actually, but for you, Heatherlyn, I will do one.
Oh,
I actually
thank
retired.
you.
I retired, but I do group sessions here in Ottawa, Canada, also online. And I one of my favorite events that I do fairly often, at least once a month, is meditation and messages night. And that one is probably my favorite. So it's done through Zoom, so people can join in from all over the world. And basically what it is I channel a guided meditation with the intention that it bring healing to whatever part of the participants that whatever part requires that healing. And then after that, I do messages from the other side and readings, and for as many people as I can. And it's a fairly small event, usually between 30 and 55 people, maximum 55. That's all the tickets that are available. And it's a lot of fun, and probably one of my favorite events ever. And then of course Facebook. So come
Mm.
follow my page and hang out. It's a great community of people. If it
Yeah.
were up to me, I would get a magic school bus and collect everybody, and we'd all hang out in person. But
Yeah,
at this
totally.
point, everyone's all over the world. But come hang out with us.
Yeah. Okay. And so the date of your next meditation and messages event is what date?
It's November 16th at 7 p.m. Eastern time.
Okay. And they can sign up at your Facebook page if they find you on Facebook
On my website,
on your website.
MatthewStapley.com,
Okay.
under sessions. Yeah.
Okay. So go to MatthewStapley.com and find sessions for the information and to sign up for the next event. That sounds
Yeah.
wonderful.
Love to
Yeah.
have everybody.
Now, you also kind of recently, like since we've known each other in the past year, so you released a book you wrote, right?
I did. I
Would you
did.
like
I
to tell
wrote
us?
the my God, there it is.
There it
On
is.
the screen. Amazing. The Little Book of Wise and Powerful Thoughts. And it's a really easy read. It's like 1 to 3 sentences per page, but each page is a thought that can provoke inspiration. It can make you mad, maybe even depending on
Mm.
how you feel about it. But the reason that I wrote it, or the intention behind it, is to give people power thoughts, things that they can use to move through an experience more gracefully, or with more understanding, or with more insight, in
Mm.
some way. And I was shocked in the first 24 hours of sales. It hit like the top book on Amazon for my category that it was in, which was like crazy cool.
Yeah.
But
Congratulations.
thank you. Yeah, it
Yeah.
was a lot of fun to write it, and it's years worth of experience put into short words. And um, at first, I felt almost guilty for writing a book that just had like a thought per page. And then
Mm.
when I really thought about it, I mean, in 2023, nobody wants to read pages and pages
Right.
of things, right? As well. So,
Yeah.
um, and a really good friend of mine who is an amazing author, she told me, why use more words if you don't have to? So,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, it was
Yeah.
exciting.
I
It's been
love that. It reminds me of my experience of reading the Tao Te Ching, because that's basically a verse a page. And so it is
yeah,
this experience of like there's a lot of white space, and so you're kind of really like focused in on that verse. And then I
yeah.
feel like it invites me to just read it deeply then, and to reread it and to listen to what
I,
else is coming through, you know? Yeah, so maybe your book is like training people to be, like be their own mediums on some level, right? Like
you
to be in
know,
touch with their intuition.
love that. I hope that's exactly what it's doing, in fact. And I love your take on that. I think that's
Mm,
beautiful. Yeah, and I know like some people will just like open random pages and almost like use it as a tool to
yeah.
receive messages. They'll say, what do I need to focus on right now? And they just open a random page, which I think that's really fun. I like it.
And our guests in the chat are like singing your praises. Matthew, you are wonderful. Looking so
Oh,
forward to meeting you tomorrow night at your group reading. And Sylvia is highly recommending any of your offerings. As a prior student, I was thoroughly pleased with
oh,
every interaction I've had. It's wonderful to sit with. I believe Sylvia may be speaking of your book. It's wonderful to sit with, and then quality over quantity about the amount of words. And then holding
oh.
space is so important with deep thought for
I-
sure. Oh, Rhoda says he is truly awesome.
They're turning you
um,
red and drawing like that tearful feeling. So thank you guys. I love you guys.
aw,
It's so amazing.
yeah. Oh, and thank you, Carl. You are so wonderful, and Carl is such a support to us, showing up to so many of our love casts and being a patron and supporter of the album. And so thank you for highlighting my link tree as well, Carl. I really appreciate that, where people can find the album and my Patreon and all of that. Yeah. Okay, good. We've been on for an hour, so I'm prepared to do our closing song that is a song of best wishes. But before we do that, is there anything else that you would like to say, or anything that I, didn't quite get in to ask you about your story, or anything that you want folks to know tonight?
I, I think the last thing that I would say to people is, regardless of what it is that you're going through or whatever you've been through in your life, just know that you are amazing, that you're enough, that you are worthy of
Mm,
every good possible blessing in the universe. And
mm,
um, yeah, and go after it. Go after it. Don't be shy. Allow yourself to be open to the possibility of rising to great
mm.
heights,
Oh,
knowing that you're
thank
supported to
you.
be so.
Thank you, Matthew. Oh, thank you
Thank
so much for that. I needed that myself. And that is a good reminder that's so
you.
important for us all the time. If you're happy to stay on the call, I'll wrap the show up with a song, and we can just chat a bit after the live cast is over.
Sure.
But y'all, please feel free to continue to share your appreciation of Matthew, find his links and all of those things. All right. And there's still time to share the live stream as well. It will be available for playback when we're finished. So thank you again, Matthew.
Thank you for having me. This has been awesome. Thank you very much.
Appreciate you, and sending this love and these best wishes out to you, to Etienne and Trent, and all of you all watching. Thank you for being here in the chat. Please join us on Saturday for Soul Song Saturday. Same places, Facebook, YouTube, Twitch. We go live at 9 a.m. Pacific and noon Eastern. And it is live music, mystical musings, practices of presence together. So I'd love to see you back here Saturday morning, and we'll have more Storydwelling shows to be announced soon. Those conversations are happening. So thank you again, you all. This is my song Ever from my Being Breathed EP. Peace ever, joy ever following you. Light ever, love ever radiating through. Hope ever, faith ever strengthening you. Life ever, breath ever, nourishing you. And everywhere you go, may you always be home. And everyone you meet be messengers of peace. Let your light shine through, and your heart ever be true. Move in grace and gratitude, and walk in wisdom, sharing all that's good. Peace ever, joy ever following you. Light ever, love ever radiating through. And everywhere you go, may you always be home. And everyone you meet be messengers of peace. May we choose courageously. May we hope defiantly. May we love outrageously, and walk on lightly in humility. May we choose courageously. May we hope defiantly. beauty and laughter ever filling you, friendship, affection surrounding you. Much love, you all. Peace, and see you again soon.